Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's Cuppa Club with YnNi Teg. My name is Ben Sharp. I'm Senior Investment Manager at Ethex. We are currently hosting YnNi Teg's most recent share offer for their exciting new wind development. So I'm joined on the call by John, Mari, and Judith. Would you like to introduce yourselves very briefly?
Uh, Mary?
Can I start? Pnawn da. Diolch, Ben. Thank you. I'm Mary and I'm chair of YnNi Teg. So I have other day jobs mainly around sustainability. So my passion is clean energy and sustainability.
Thanks, Mari. Judith, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, thank you. So I'm a development manager at YnNi Teg. So my role is in project managing various community energy schemes that we have, and also sort of looking to develop new and innovative approaches.
Awesome. Thanks, Judith. John, lastly, you go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, John Townend. I'm the executive director at YnNi Teg. I have a title director, but I'm not part of the voluntary board of this community benefit society. I'm the senior member of staff responsible for the day-to-day operations and delivery of our projects.
Awesome. Thank you, John. Just a bit of housekeeping as well before we start, everyone. So, important to let you know that this Cuppa Club is being recorded. We will edit this as well to highlight the version which you should be able to access online a few days after this Cuppa Club. This is not a financial promotion. If you do need advice, please talk to your independent financial advisor. In terms of timing, so usually these run for about half an hour, 45 minutes, perfect for those of you taking this in during your lunch break. And it's an opportunity to ask questions as well to John, Mary, Judith. So please do ask questions. We have another Ethex team member in the background who is aware of the questions that you're asking, and we can see them as well. So please do keep them coming in. So just before we start off with my own questions to the team, I just want to let you know how the raise is progressing. It's doing very well. So we're already at 70% of target. So YnNi Teg have planned to raise 350,000 for the wind turbine. We're at around 245,000 as of this morning, which is great news. But we're keen to complete that raise, and as Mari's going to say towards the end of this session, we are keen for local investment as well. That's a really important part of this raise. Great. Okay, I've just seen a question. Let's just have a look at this quickly. Yes, thank you very much, Will, for this. We can explore this question towards the end, but just simply put, because it shares, it doesn't qualify for the if item. Great. Okay, so first question. Who wants to take this one? I'll ask it first. YnNi Teg, it's not the first renewable energy project that you have undertaken. For anyone in the audience not familiar with you and what you've done previously as well, can you just give us a brief overview of your portfolio and what you've done to date?
Yeah, so we were established in 2017 when there was an opportunity to purchase the development rights for our first turbine, which was a 900 kilowatt turbine in Carmarthenshire, which has been running and operating successfully since then. Last year, we installed a small solar farm, just short of 600 kilowatts, attached to that, sharing the same point of connection, which was one of the first co-located generating projects, as they're referred to in Wales. And then this then is our third generating asset that we're installing. We're also involved in supporting other organisations with smaller projects, some of which we have a direct interest in, but they don't have the same significance in terms of investment.
Thanks, John. Do you want to talk a little bit about that as well, actually? So this kind of brings me on to the idea that you're Pan Wales, you're kind of a national developer. Do you want to touch upon that a little bit as well?
Yeah, so we're associated with Community Energy Wales and Cymunedol Cymru, which is the organisation that represents the membership of the community energy sector in Wales. There are about 30 or 40 organisations across Wales, all at different sort of sizes and scales and different forms of activity. So they provide support to the membership. We provide, if you like, technical support in terms of helping them to deliver or develop and deliver their projects. And we very much regard ourselves as a community energy developer. So we are here to follow up on prospects for leads for new projects, and then help them bring them to fruition.
Thank you so much, John. That's really useful. I mean, with community energy, as we all know, this is kind of grassroots led, and there are a lot of volunteers in this sector, and there needs to be a lot of knowledge sharing. So you kind of plug that gap, I think, with what you're doing, helping these organizations. So that's really useful insight. Thank you. Great. So we've kind of just touched upon this as well, but just to ask again, so you work with organizations to research and develop community renewable energy projects. Could you just share examples of maybe more specific details of where you've done this across Wales?
Yeah, yeah. So as I was saying, they vary in scale. So at a larger scale, practical scale, one of the first projects that I got involved with when I came in, was the development of a 30 megawatt solar farm in North Wales, which spans the Welsh and English boundary just near Chester
Okay.
and Flintshire. That now is, well, they're looking to build out the first phase of that next year.
Right.
Took a while, but we're getting there with that one. That's for a small community energy entity, both on the Flintshire side and then with Chester Community Energy.
Right.
We've done work with Carmarthenshire Energy and a cigar in Carmarthen, looking at a very different end of things, trying to see if we could provide support to small businesses, retail and commercial in Carmarthen town centre, looking at their energy efficiency and installations to reduce costs for them. We've done studies for a number of organisations, for example, a community land trust. We've done work with the Muslim community in Cardiff and Newport with their community buildings, where we've just finished a study for a charitable, sorry, a community farm run by a charitable trust, and looking at what we could do for them. So it's quite varied
It
in
is.
both
That is
scale
amazing.
and type.
Yeah, it's very impressive. From 30 megawatts all the way to working with different communities in South Wales and giving all kinds of support. I've been in this space for a little while. I don't think I've come across an organization that is filling so many gaps in the market. So thank you so much for that, John. It's really
Bef-
interesting.
Before we move on, Ben, I've just seen a
Yes.
question come in as well. So, John, did you want to touch on the partnership with organisations like Welsh Water, who actually commit to buy energy from us?
Yes, yeah, yeah. So it might be relevant to other questions that might come in, which is that we have a bespoke power purchase agreement with Dŵr Cymru Welsh Water to provide our power, through the grid to them, and that works well for both parties. We get a slightly higher price on our power that we sell to them, and they get a saving. There's a mechanism in the energy supply regulations called a small suppliers exemption that we can take advantage of for mutual benefit. And yeah, hopefully that supports them to invest more in our water infrastructure without going too deeply into that one.
That's great. Great question as well, Murray. Thank you for sharing that from the chat as well. Great. Okay. So next question. I don't know who wants to take this one. It might be you, John, Mario, or Judith. I don't mind. So could you just tell us a little bit about the progress that has been made with regards to the installation and where you're at with things and how investors' funds are going to be used on this project?
Yeah, I can take that one, Ben. So it's probably worth just saying where we are in terms of the progress on the raising finance side, because that then ties into where we are in terms of the project delivery. So you've obviously already updated that we're at 70% of the share offer fundraise. But previous to that, we'd already secured a grant from the Welsh Government of about 1.5 million. And a loan from the Development Bank of Wales for about 412k. So we've got quite a considerable funding package behind the project before starting the share offer. In terms of actual progress on site, as you're aware, we've purchased a turbine that we're refurbing, and that refurbishment is now complete, which has been delivered by a company in South Wales. So we're obviously pleased to keep that works within Wales. We are expecting civils works to start on site shortly, and we've already laid the cable route that will connect the turbine to its point of connection. So we're on target for installation of the turbine and final connection late March, early April, depending on the weather, of course.
Brilliant, brilliant. And how long is that kind of installation? How long does a wind turbine take to be installed, like the physical thing?
John, I see you taking your microphone off. Do you want to step in on that one?
Yeah, the bulk of the construction work is in the civil engineering, so that's laying the access track, putting the platform in for the craneage, and most importantly, the foundation for the turbine, and making sure that's installed correctly and it's properly cured. The actual lifting of the turbine sections, the tower sections, and the nacelle and the blades into place is quite quick. It's done over 2 to 3 days max.
Oh, right. Okay.
Literally, you drop the tower sections on top of each
You
other, then
dismount
the
it.
nacelle. Then, of course, once that's in place, there's then a lot of connection work done internally and the electrical connections in particular. But there's other fittings and fixtures that need to be done, and that takes another several weeks. Commissioning then probably then takes another month or so before it's going to be operational.
Right. That's really very interesting. Interesting for my personal kind of interest as well. I hope that's interesting to everyone else on the call. Thank you.
I mentioned where the funding has come from, because you also asked about how we're spending the funding from the share offer. So just to explain that the cost of purchasing the turbine and the refurbishment has been covered by that grant and loan that I mentioned. So we'll be using the share offer funding to cover the costs then for that civils works and the installation that John was explaining.
So that's really important. That's a really important point you make, Judith. So investors into this project on the Ethex platform, their money is additional, as it were. So the project cannot complete without investors putting their money in. So that's a really important point to make. This raise is essential for this project to come to life. Cool. Great. Okay. So since you touched upon it, Judith, in what you've just mentioned as well, so sustainability using a turbine that has been refurbished, can you just talk a little bit more on that kind of sustainability angle and how you've tried to make the project as sustainable as possible?
Do you want me to come in there, Jude?
Oh, Mari,
I
yes,
think we're going to take that,
absolutely.
Mari.
Yeah, we think about sustainability first. So as a board, we've got different people representing different organisations, and we think about sustainability because we're all mindful in Wales. We've got the Wellbeing of Future Generations Act, and with that, there's 4 pillars of sustainability. I believe in England there are 3. So we've got an additional one, which is culture and language. So we look at sustainability in terms of the environmental and the economic opportunities, as well as the social, cultural, and the language. So we look at opportunities that are usually presented to us, and if they fit our overall ambition of improving an area, making communities more resilient, bringing environmental and all the other benefits. So when we approve a project from our own internal way. We look then to see how we can bring more sustainability actions to that. So we're looking at, can we work with local people, whether it's legal, engineering, financial. So we're looking at how we can bring every part of sustainable working to projects. And having a refurbished wind turbine in this instance has been really good for our forward thinking as well. So obviously this has been refurbished in Wales. That's the closest place possible to the site of the turbine. And it's a huge opportunity that we then have used, not just for this project, we can use as a model going forward and as a model to speak to the sector through our relationship with YnNi Cymru Community Energy Wales. And we're working with with Welsh politicians on the agenda as well. So see if we can change the attitude to the sector as more and more and more of the larger wind farm turbines are coming offline. Are there opportunities to use turbines in country to be refurbished for community energy projects? What skills opportunities are there around that to upscale younger, and in the area that the company is that we're refurbishing the turbine at the moment next to Talbot Steelworks, and obviously there's a huge need to upscale or rescale people to re-employ. So there's a huge amount of thinking that goes into the sustainability, way beyond economic and environmental, and we're looking at sort of how we can use everything we do, every learning. This is all new for us, and apply that to our projects and to other elements in other parts of Wales and influence policy.
That's so interesting. When I asked you this question, I was thinking purely of environmental sustainability, but as you've just explained, there's all the different layers to sustainability, and you're really taking a holistic approach to sustainability, which is really interesting to hear about. Thanks, Mari. So again, just to kind of dive a bit more deeply into this, so you kind of mentioned the refurbishment being done in Wales and in South Wales. Could you just talk a little bit more about local jobs and the community benefit associated with this installation? Because it's not just during the installation that you're trying to make it local and sustainable. This is something for the long term, hopefully.
Yeah, I think one of the things we're keen to do is work with local organisations to identify need and to work out how we can give the profits made to the right places, because obviously the pot is finite. So we want to make sure that we have as much impact as possible, and that needs to come from the local communities. They know where the need is greatest. So we do try, the board as a team as well do go and meet people. So in the Carmarthenshire instance, we've gone and we met some of the local councillors, community councillors and county councillors, and John works with the school. So we try to get into the areas we're involved with so that we can identify needs. So when we're looking at applications that come in for funding and for support, we're more informed, or if we don't feel informed, we'll make sure we consult locally. And then we also have share, investors that also make decisions. So we advise the direction of travel, and then annually in our AGM, our investors then can shape what we do as well. So it's very inclusive. We try to be as aware of the impact we have in the areas that our project are as well. Jude, I don't know if you want to come in as well there.
Yeah, I can add that we intended to have a local community fund year on year in the area, and as Mari suggested, we'll take the same approach as we have with our other assets in Carmarthenshire, where we're open to applications from the community for projects from that fund. But I'd also add in, because I think Ben, you mentioned about sort of jobs and that sort of thing. We've certainly through the construction phase been focused on looking at local contractors wherever possible. So our main civils contractors employing locally in terms of engineering consultancy, groundworks contractor, HV electrical contractor, and our long-term O&M will be with a Wales-based company.
Fantastic. It's really kind of heartwarming to see how you're doing all this in the right way, and you've really considered deeply your impacts on the local area, and you're making conscious efforts to be positive in every way. I think I read in your share offer document, just to touch, Judith, on the community fund. You're looking for around £8,000 a year to be generated from this installation. Is that right?
Yeah, well, yeah, actually 10K
Oh,
in
10.
total.
Okay,
So
even better. Great.
we followed the sort of same approach as we have done with our previous turbine, which is to offer 2K toward directly to the community council for support within the immediate vicinity of the turbine, and then a further 8K is a more flexible fund for the wider community.
Fantastic. Well, that sounds like a great fund to be made use of. Brilliant. Okay. So just moving on, I'm sure investors or potential investors on this call would appreciate maybe a little bit more detail as well as to how they're going to be repaid. Obviously, a lot of our investors are investing for impact, and because this is such an impactful project, that's really attractive. But could you just all touch a little bit on the mechanics of how investors are going to get a return on their investment? I don't know who wants to take that first.
Yeah, so Ben, I'll take that. A couple of things there. Then the target return on the rate of interest, and then the capital repayments. So we've set that the target of 6% return as a rate of interest on the investments. We've just to say that with our existing turbine, we've managed to pay out the intended return most of the operational years so far, but bar one. And I will make that, I'll be open and clear about that. There may be occasions when, for whatever reason, we don't hit profits. We're well down on the turnover, but generally speaking, we've been able to deliver the returns that we've promised to members. That return is decided at the AGM following the completion of the operational year. So it won't be till we have the first year of operation. The following AGM will then look at the returns for that first year and then determine that first payment of interest. So in this case, it will be the June 2027 will be the AGM, so the payments will be made in July 2027, the first repayments.
Great. And just to add that this is quite standard. So usually these things are done in arrears. So this is quite conventional.
With regards to the capital repayments, what we've assumed and what we've modeled on as part of our projections is that we will repay 5% of capital year on year from 2027 to 2036, and then increase that to 10% from there through to I think it was 2044. That's the intention at the moment, and that's what we're confident of being able to achieve.
Lovely. Thank you so much, John. And again, just to be clear on community shares, if this is investors' first time in venturing into this field, community shares, one member, one vote. So regardless of how much you're putting into the investment or how little you're putting in, you have an equal voice. Does anyone want to touch upon this kind of democratic aspect of community shares?
Mary, no?
Yeah, no, basically, yeah, that is correct. So it doesn't matter how much or how little you put in. You're a shareholder, you get an equal say in the AGM on, as John said, if there's been a tough year, on what the share return should be for that year, and also where the community fund money goes. So we can all as a team influence that. The board has sort of more detailed information because they have the time to focus on it. We will make recommendations, but it's about keeping that power in each shareholder's control then. So everyone has equal power. It doesn't matter how big your investment is.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'll just add to that, Ben, as well, just to explain that
Yeah.
our board should comprise up to 8 members, 6 of which are intended to be members of the company. And we do have 2 spaces for associate directors from Community Energy Wales to be involved as well. So the idea is that members can apply to join the board at each AGM, and we look to try and rotate. And in fact, we welcome applications to join the board from our members.
Fantastic. That's really clear. Thank you, John. I just saw a question pop up, and we might as well answer this specific one now whilst we're on the subject. So, John, you mentioned you missed a target return 1 year on one of your previous installations. Do you just want to touch upon that briefly?
Yeah, the year in question, it was actually the first year I came into post, and it was my first AGM, and they were referring to the previous year's operation. So I wasn't fully clear what the circumstances were. But essentially, the rate of repayment, to be transparent, on the other turbine is 6.4% is the maximum rate of return that was promised there. In that year, they were only able to pay 2%. And that was because they hadn't made a surplus. They were in deficit. There was funds in reserve that could make a payment. But I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure what the reason was that they were unable to make that payment that year. I mean, we also need to be frank about the nature of returns on renewables. So this year, for example, we had a very poor first quarter return when wind speeds were very low. But conversely, we've had a very good final quarter. So our financial year is January the 1st to December 31st. We've had a very good fourth quarter, which has almost made up for the poor return on the first quarter. So it usually balances out. It's obviously variable, the returns, the yield on the generating assets through the year are variable. It usually balances out. I can only assume that year must have just been a very poor year. If I looked again at the average wind speeds for each of those years, I would probably be able to pull that out and say it was way down on the average wind speed. Would be my
Yes.
take on it.
Thanks, John. So just to say to the investors out there, we're very happy to provide further details after this call to you if you want to dig into this a little bit more. That's no problem.
And sorry, Ben, just to add to that, one of the benefits of increasing our portfolio is that we can smooth out some of those dips and flows, and bringing the solar farm into it has helped smooth out the yield and returns as well.
That's an excellent point. You're diversifying your portfolio and making it more resilient. I'll just I'll touch on one more point with this. So when you're modeling, John, you're looking at what we call P50, P90 scenarios. So could you just touch upon how you're modeling generation and hence income generation? You're not expecting 100% availability of great wind every single day of the year. Could you just touch upon that if you can?
Yeah, yes, that's right. The P50 and P90 scenarios are based on the probability of certain wind speeds and productivity being achieved at any moment in time. So P90 is the most conservative scenario, and that's you could call that the pessimistic scenario. That gives us a baseline parameter. So with our modeling, what we try and make sure is that the financials stack up if it was to be operating at P90. What we find is that generally the assets are performing much closer to P50, which is where we're closer to the average wind speed most years. So going back to my earlier comment, we have generally maintained a fairly high level of yield with the assets so far, apart from that year that I mentioned when we had that appeared to have a significant dip.
Thank you, John. That's great. And again, just to give some context to everyone out there, It's not unusual for, as John said, renewable energy projects and community benefit societies to have off years. The key is that the investment is over the long run as well. So you're investing for the long run, and hopefully that helps smooths out the returns as well. Great. So got a couple of questions left before we go over to your questions, everyone. So first one is just looking at the bigger picture and YnNi Teg's vision. How does it fit into the decarbonisation of Wales's energy system and the net zero targets of the UK as a whole? Who wants to take that one?
I'll start off and then Jude or John can jump in.
That's fine.
A couple of years ago, there was a Welsh Government consultation called the Local Area Energy Plans, where every single local authority had to identify opportunity to reach targets. So as a country, we are on target. And also as part of that, there were regional energy plans. So individual local authorities and regions now have a map at their targets for energy production and opportunities, if there's direct wire opportunities or grid opportunities or different ways of working, sharing load, looking at gaps. So we've got maps now and targets that have become quite hyper-local that we can use to identify opportunities going forward. So we're trying to feed into the LEAPs. So we've been part of the consultation on the local area energy plans, very aware of all the acts and policies around environmental, net zero and sustainability in Wales, which we try to make, as we touched on earlier, more of a holistic return as opposed to just net zero targets. We want, to support the average person to benefit from these opportunities, especially when they're happening in their area. So a share offer starts off at £100 per share. So £100 is the minimum at the moment, but we are looking in the future at ways of making even a share something that maybe a community or a street or a group can buy into as well. So it'll be even more affordable because £100 is a lot today, and then it goes up to 100,000. So again, it's capped, so you can't have, multinationals buying into some of these opportunities as well. So try to keep it affordable for all. So we are actively working with politicians. So we meet with Assembly, Senedd members, previously called Assembly members, and we're also planning ahead for post-election, because obviously we've got elections in the Senedd this May, and we are looking at potentially a whole new government. So we've been looking at modelling opportunities around which party would get in, how we can then build bridges with new politicians, maybe helping to inform politicians that are new to community energy. There is a lot of misunderstanding around renewable energy. It's a huge worry about extraction in Wales, and also how renewable energy can all be lumped into that one view. So it's about educating, not just people, but politicians as well, local government and Welsh Government politicians about the benefits that community energy can bring to Wales and to regions and to counties, and also the speed that community energy, I know it's much smaller projects, we're looking at smaller returns, but the speed that we could move is much quicker than the larger projects and offshore and big wind farms, and the consultation that goes involved in those, and not necessarily any of the benefits remaining local as well. So I think we're feeding into more than just the net zero targets, but we are aware of them, and we've been part of the local area energy plan consultations as well.
Fantastic, Mari. Thank you. It's really interesting. You talk about scaling at speed. There's been, I guess, maybe a turn in the last couple of years away from, in some areas, away from the green agenda, but it's still very much there. Just because others have turned against it doesn't mean that the priority is not there. So to be able to, and it's more urgent than ever. So to be able to scale at speed is something that's really important and really useful. So thank you for that.
And even the
Um,
co-production, that we looked at in Carmarthenshire, we'd ideally be doing that in all new sites we have. Any wind turbine, we can have solar panels sited on site with the same connection so that when the wind isn't blowing and the sun is shining, we're still producing energy.
so, yeah, fantastic. That
Um,
is a great thing. Co-location, I think, John, you termed it as co-location.
yeah, and
Um,
Ben, just very quickly to
oh
add
yeah,
to
of
what
course.
I
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
appreciate time's getting on.
yeah.
The We're very conscious, as Marius said, about the some of the rhetoric that's out there at the moment, and we are
Mm,
very concerned to try and find ways to provide a direct benefit to people in Wales. Obviously, with power going straight into the grid, that's hard to demonstrate, but we know that is going to bring power prices down eventually. But we are also actively trying to find ways to get local energy markets operating, and the recent regulatory changes in the energy market we're hoping will facilitate that. So we're very much proactively looking at that right now.
absolutely. I think that touches upon P441. If anyone wants to get to sleep easily, they can look up the P441 modification this evening. Great. So final question before we move on to your questions, everyone. So, what message would you like to leave potential investors with as they think about this offer?
I just touch quickly on the fact that it is a good return, but what you are doing as well with that investment, it's more than just you're investing in something to get a return. You're actually investing in, it sounds corny, but in tomorrow, into the future, and supporting communities. We do try to focus our projects on communities that need that kind of benefit as well, that injection of investment in the grassroots work that's going along with it. So for me, the reason I'm passionate about community energy is, and volunteer as a board member, and I'm always going to be involved in community energies because I want to support people through the way that also supports our environment and
Mm,
brings more than money to whether you're a shareholder or a recipient in the community. It brings so much more. There's so much more positive things we could say about why we should all be focusing on community energy and not extraction.
great. Thank you so much, Mary. That's an excellent answer. Judith, John, would you like to leave our investors with any other thoughts? Or would you like to leave it?
I'll just follow up on what Mary said, basically, which is if you're investing in us, you're investing in our ability to empower the rest of our communities in Wales to do what we're trying to do the same thing.
Fantastic. Great. Thank you, John. Okay, so let's have a look at questions here. Let's try and get through as many as we can. I'll be fair and start at the top. So, Will, we kind of answered your question initially about why shares can't be put into an IFISA. So, just to say very briefly again, so bonds qualify for an IFISA. Community shares do not qualify for an IFISA, but they can qualify for inheritance tax relief. So, if you want to learn a little bit more about that, do go on the Ethex website or contact us over email, and we'd be happy to talk to you about inheritance tax relief. John writes, the big problem for small community energy projects is achieving a viable business model. How's your project achieving financial viability? I think we've touched a little bit on that. John, Mary, Judith, do you want to say any more? Or
I think we are lucky to have the relationship with Dŵr Cymru, who have that opportunity for setting the term and the value of that. But as John just said, I think with Dŵr Cymru, sorry, John, you know the more technical details. I stand back on the board and look uh, from more of a
Uh,
strategic point and less involved in the details.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of, so I think the question presumably relates to how are we financially sustaining and developing
yeah,
the business, if you like. So what our target really is to continue to develop new generating assets that do generate a surplus, and that those the value of those assets, if you like, as Mary suggested, is dependent on the power purchase agreements we can put in place. And it is our intention to seek not only the kind of bespoke sleeved power purchase agreement we've got with Door Cymru, but also look at things like direct wire connections into businesses and community entities, high power users that will provide a substantive return on investment. I'd be absolutely open with you though, that these smaller scale generating assets, as they are connected to the grid, if we weren't in receipt of grant funding, they wouldn't be financially viable. And it is the fact that we have been in receipt of that funding to substantially offset the capital installation costs that makes them viable. The benefit for us, of course, is that gives us the income stream that we can build on our capacity to do more of the same. So our target really is to work towards financial self-sustainability. I think the nature of community energy organisations is you're probably always a bit behind the curve on that, but we are already, we generate enough to cover our core costs, and all our additional added value project work, if you like, is covered by, we also pursue grants from other sources to help fund our other activities.
Thanks so much, John. That's great. Got another question here from Felicity. So, does YnNi Teg offer consultancy advice or support outside of Wales? Felicity also writes in Welsh. Mary, you might be better placed.
Hopefully.
Who would like to answer
not
that
at the
question?
moment is the answer, unfortunately.
Okay.
We don't have that capacity, and our remit, to be fair, is to focus on Wales. But what we do together with Community Energy Wales and Cymru Cymru is we do liaise with the Community Energy England and Community Energy Scotland, and that integration and if you like, cross-fertilization is increasing, and we are trying to look at how we can share resources and knowledge to support each other. So it's happening. There is ways to, and there's plenty of support from those organisations if you're in England or Scotland.
And I think with the first part of the question as well, there are a lot more community asset projects in Wales taking off, community pubs, community shops as well. And I think they are also really good ways to keep money and to bring money into more deprived communities. And I'm not sure about the position in England, but we do have a lot of government support, and from the Wales Cooperative Centre that does support, or you do need those people in the communities who are leaders and can start projects like that off. But there's a lot of shops and pubs and energy projects around Wales that are smaller, hyper-local, and do benefit communities.
Thanks, Mary. That's brilliant. Great. Moving swiftly on, we've got a question from Daniel. Daniel speaks about grid connections. You're right, Daniel, they can be very expensive and demolish business models. How have you all overcome this? And is it the case the national grid is privatized and fit maximizing?
Right. Okay. A couple of things in there, wasn't there? You're right. Yeah. The cost of grid connection is not cheap. When I first started in renewables 15 years ago, we were expecting costs of around £50,000 a megawatt. This has cost us £500,000 for nearly a megawatt. So by comparison. And yet, as far as I'm aware, there isn't significant reinforcement having to be done on our local grid network. What we have had to have, though, is a reasonably lengthy connection run to the point of our connection for our system on the local distribution network. And so the cost of that has added probably about £250,000-300,000 to the cost. But that is now paid for. It is in place. We've actually had that cable run installed, so we have the connection through to the site ready to connect up when the turbine goes in. So was there a final part to that question? Something about National Grid increasing costs, was it?
I think this is just a more generic question. is the national grid privatizing and profit maximizing?
I don't know
I
the
guess
answer to that, to be honest.
no. Within well, yes, it's yeah. We can move on from that. But thank you, Daniel, for your question. Gareth, we've already answered your question. Paul, Mary's already answered your question. Was the minimum investment? Can I pay with credit card? Minimum investment, I think Mary said is £100.
Yeah.
Right. And with regard to paying by credit card, please get in touch with our operations team who will be able to sort you out on that front. Christopher, I know we're going a little bit over time, but let's just do a couple more minutes on this. How far is the turbine from the grid connection? You've already answered that, John. And what's the cost of this, both underground and overground per mile or kilometre? That might be a bit technical even for you, John, but I'll let you have a crack at that.
What's the cost? Sorry, just repeat the question. I think I
What
can
is
answer it.
what is the cost of the grid connection underground and overground per mile or
Oh, I see.
kilometre?
Right. Yeah. Okay. All our connections generally are underground. We haven't on this project and on previous projects looked at any overground. Undergrounding through soft ground is relatively cost effective. If you have to go take it down the public highway, it gets very expensive. Probably difference might be something, say, between, say, £50 a linear meter and £150 a linear meter. So those kind of costs. Overheads, I don't know because I haven't been directly involved in a project with overhead connection for some time now, so I can't speak for that one.
That's fine. Thank you so much, John. Okay, we've got a just one more question from Felicity again. Thank you for your question, Felicity. A more wide-ranging question here. Would YnNi Teg Ethex be willing to host a learning webinar for community groups to understand your journey? From ethics point of view, yes, we're very happy to do that kind of thing. Would YnNi Teg be interested in that as
Yeah,
well?
definitely. I think it'd be a really good opportunity, and also to clarify to more general public on what community energy is. And I'll just come quickly onto the last one as well. YnNi Teg translates to YnNi is energy, but ni is us, so that's why there's a capital N in the middle. So it's like our energy, and Teg is fair, so it's our fair energy.
Yeah, that's a great answer to end them, I think, Mary. Thank you. You'll make us all Welsh speakers soon enough. That's brilliant. All right. Well, I think it's probably a good time to end there. All is left for me to say is thank you very much for your time, Mary. Thank you, Judith. Thank you so much, John. It's been very informative for everyone on this webinar and for me as well. The offer is open until the 11th of March. As I said, we're 70% of the way there, but we're keen for that final push of investment, especially from local sources. And if you've got any questions, please direct them to us or YnNi Teg over email.
Diolch yn fawr pawb. Thank you
Diolch.
all.
Diolch, Ben.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.